So, guys, what's a fado?
Fado is a Portuguese singing style that combines music and poetry, known for its melancholic and expressive character.
Bob, I believe it originated in the 19th century on the streets of Lisbon's working-class neighborhoods, and originally only sung by men. Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Board Game Rundown, and today we are reviewing House of Fado. Bobby.
Yes.
This is your Kickstarter game.
It is.
How does House of Fado go?
House of Fado is a Lacerda light kind of game. It's a worker placement game where you're going to be placing your workers out on the board here in the 7 different spots, and you're going to be recruiting musicians into your restaurant. You're going to be bringing customers in and going from there. Quick breakdown on some of the actions. So the action spots up top is where you're going to go to recruit the Portuguese guitarist, the singers, and then the normal guitarist. And then they also have, each action spot has a bump out thing on them. So if I'm in a spot and Tim decides to go to that same spot, he's going to bump me down into one of these spots, and I would get to choose where I would get to go in those bump out spots. And they range from gaining money to bringing in more customers or paying money to bring customers in. Down along here, along the street, is where you're just going to go to collect people, customers, and bring them into your restaurant. You can place a worker on a spot, and you're going to either take up to 4 customers from one side or the other side, but they all have to sit at the same table or go to the bar. The ones in the middle are the critics. If you bring a critic into your bar, they're not going to pay for any food, but they are going to help to build your reputation and your prestige. But you have to, at first, pay them to come sit at your restaurant. But then as you become, more and more famous, then it gets cheaper, and eventually they just want to show up for free because, heck, they've heard a lot about your restaurant, and they want to come check it out. Down towards the bottom, on the end over there by Mike, that's where you can go to kind of do a rehearsal, and you can either take the musical notes, or you can also use those notes to make a fado. And so you'll turn those tiles in, take that, and it's going to earn you victory points. At the end of the game, you'll get bonus points depending on how many you have. Mm-hmm. Here in the middle, once you have your musicians in your restaurant, you'll be ranking up their fame. So you come with these dice, and they'll be increasing from 1 to 2 depending on the applause, which we'll kind of go over here in a second. But you can choose to promote them, and so by pushing your worker out there, you'll send that person out here to be promoted, and you're going to gain some fame because that person has played at your restaurant. So now you're going to get fame for them going out there, and then people can recruit them from there also. Say, ooh, this famous person, yes, allow me to hire them and put them in my restaurant. And then, other than those worker spots, you have one worker spot on your player board that nobody else can send workers to except for yourself. And when you go there, you're closing down for the night. When that happens, all of your customers at your tables, not the critics, but the normal customers, will pay for their meal depending on how much prestige your restaurant has earned. Your critics are going to earn you bonus prestige by getting rid of cubes. And then you're going to receive applause from all of the people there. So you'll have customers sitting around, and then you will give them standing ovations to your different musicians. And then depending on what color the customers are, you'll be able to increase the fame level of your different musicians according to the chart on the side. Once you hit a certain amount of prestige, you unlocked your 4 tops, so you can have a bigger table with more people. If you unlock all of them, you'll earn the star. The stars are important because once 3 stars are earned, then the game end will trigger. You can also earn stars by getting a musician in your restaurant up to a tier 6, a fame level 6. They will then go to one of these spots up here, depending on what instrument they're playing. That'll earn you a star. You can also earn a star by, I believe it is having 3 of the fados done. And so once the 3rd star, not by one person, but the 3rd star period has been unlocked, that will trigger the end, and you'll do all the final scoring.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty straightforward breakdown of how the game works. There's lots of iconography on here. Most of it is pretty intuitive. It's going to kind of explain exactly all the things you said, and the bump areas are really what makes this game unique. All right, Mike, what did you think of House of Fado?
So first I want to talk about the theme and the aesthetics. I do really like this theme and the look of the game. Kind of running your own sort of restaurant or speakeasy and bringing in these musicians and, trying to fill your restaurant with patrons that will applaud for your musicians. And just the different look of the musicians and the art on the box. I really like the way the color pops on on the board as well, like kind of this sort of nightlife sort of look here with the street lights on, and street lights even being your score markers. I like that aesthetic a lot.
Oh, sure.
As far as the actual gameplay, my favorite part is timing when to close that restaurant, because you can only keep putting your workers out onto the board so much where you can't put them back where they were, and you can't put them back onto a spot where you've already had somebody bumped. So eventually you're pushed into bringing a worker back to close your restaurant and timing that to where you've got all the musicians in there and as many patrons as you can get, so that you can get max income and as much applause as you can to level up those musicians. That timing feels pretty good. I also like the sort of struggle for like majority
Area
when you
majority.
promote those
Oh, yeah.
musicians.
Yep.
I think that's pretty neat because you're paying attention to what other people are doing. So that's a little bit of player interaction. My only thing is I question the replayability on this game, other than like, okay, I didn't take any critics. Bob went heavy critics. And as a result, I didn't end up leveling up. I never got the 4-topper unlocked in my restaurant. I was just trying to get musicians promoted as frequently as possible, and getting cubes out here and not worrying if I got any 6s and not worrying if I got the 4-topper. And I did okay, but like that only variance to me in the gameplay would be, do I go heavy critics or do I not go heavy critics? That balance and maybe timing closing the restaurant better, I don't know that adds a lot of variability from game to game. So I like it. I just do wonder how it would hold up after multiple plays.
What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. Being a lighter Lacerda, there's not as many deep strategies you might be able to encompass. But I really enjoyed the bumping mechanism. I like how there's just options to go for when you get bumped. I like that you're not forced to, you place your 3 workers out, then you have to close. You can keep kind of moving them around the board to do the different things. I like trying to level my people up and then promoting them and putting them over there and trying to get those points, like you're saying, the area majority. I really enjoyed it. Like I think the dice are neat. I think the insert was done really well. I'm Portuguese, so that might be slightly biased,
That's fair. Be biased.
Yeah.
Lean into what you like, though.
Yeah. But no, I think that I definitely want to try to play this again. I know you worry about replayability, but like Tim has mentioned before, like in our playing all these new games that we kind of do, if the game hits the table 5 times in a year, that's says something, and like I would definitely like to play this, a few more times to see if it does feel samey. I liked collecting the different notes, and getting the Fados and everything, and like trying to push somebody to 6 and be the first one to get them up there, so you can get that free star when you promote your musician to level 6. And I like trying to work on the prestige so that I could earn more money and keep that income coming in. So I was getting more money per person. Whereas like I know you were like closed one time and you had a full layout of like 7 people, but you only got like $5. Then I'm like, I've got 4 people over here, but they're playing $3 a piece.
Yeah.
So I'm making a lot more. How'd you get 12?
Money,
I was like,
is tight anyways.
Yeah.
Especially early.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
No, yeah. So, like everything, right, that you guys have already said, the aesthetic is very cool. The art is awesome. The iconography is great. Really sped up sort of the learning and the teach of the game, right? The bump mechanic is awesome. I love that when you get bumped, you've got, out of whatever the open choices are. Because sometimes you
get bumped, you're like, I don't have any money, and the only space open is I have to pay for something.
Yeah, so you do get bumped into sort of a spot, whatever.
But you know what worker you're picking up next.
But when they're and when they're wide open, it's pretty cool because you're like, I'm going here because they're wide open, and I'm definitely like, I need to get a patron in here. Like, but I also need to hire a guy. What's a good way to go?
Yep.
I love that you're not forced to close your restaurant
after your 3 workers.
After your 3 workers are out. Because, again, I'm going to pull this guy up, and now I've got to place him somewhere else and where I don't already have presence. Right?
Yep.
Not that bad, not that hard. So, like some of these spots can kind of become dead spots, like if you don't have musicians to promote.
Right.
Because that's what I ran into.
And you didn't have the money to hire one.
Right, and not a higher level one, right?
Right.
And because I was also going patron heavy like Bob early on, because I was trying to get these prestige cubes. Not patron, critic heavy. I was trying to go critic heavy early, which was cool because like I unlocked my 4-topper. My guys were paying a little bit more money to come in. That was fine. Actually ended up coming in second. By the end of the game, it did feel a little long, and I think that's just because I was frustrated because I was not able to utilize some of the spaces as well as you guys were.
Sure.
Turns out I was actually doing better than I thought because
Right.
I still came in second. But the other thing was having the understanding that the 3 stars is not like
One person gets
one
3 stars.
person.
Yeah.
Once the third star comes off the board,
Right.
that's going to
That
trigger
triggers
the
the
last
game.
round,
Right.
and everything. And that the stars don't. The person with the most stars, because I think you had 2.
Yep.
Didn't. Or no, you had 1, West had 1, and then I got the third one. But you were
'cause you
about
thought
to
I was
get.
I was about to
You
get
were
a third.
about to get your second one. But the fact that like the person that with the most stars didn't
Doesn't
feel like they
necessarily
were
win.
going to automatically be the winner.
Right.
Right. Because all that's doing is telling you the end game. It's not actually like necessarily an indicator of how
Right.
well you're
Not
doing.
a win con.
Yeah. So those things were pretty interesting. I do worry a little bit about replayability. Like if there's just one strat, that is always going
A
to work.
superior one, sure.
But it's a game that plays in about an hour. It's
Yeah.
with Teach and so 2 players would be interesting because you got little mini assistants.
Yeah, get these little assistants.
You know,
I've
so
read the
there's
2-player rules yet because we haven't played it at 2 players, but you do get these little mini meeples.
so there's some
yeah.
interesting things there. But for me, like one of my gripes or whatever is that the beginning felt kind of tough because the money is so tight. And even midway through the game, the money still felt really tight. It wasn't until like the last
So,
2 turns
you know,
where I felt like I had enough
Different
money to do
strategies. I
much.
wonder, does it make it worth it to then just like, I'm going to go here, get people. I'm going to go over there, get people, and I'm going to close and then get paid for all those people coming in.
Yeah, maybe.
Just get that early income to then be able to hire and promote or level
worth
people up,
trying.
things like that. Yeah,
It'd definitely be worth trying.
Yeah.
And again, it's short enough that like it's not like, no, I don't want to suffer through that again.
Right.
Just to try out that strategy because it's not a 3-hour game. It's
Right.
a 1-hour game.
Right.
So it definitely merits the more plays to at least see
see what those strategies,
before you
how they
just
play out.
damn it or praise it for being super replayable or not.
Sure.
Right?
The other thing that's worth mentioning is that when you're setting up the game, it says that you do include all of the tiles that show 2-player on it. But a lot of times with games like this, it'll say 2+.
Yeah, so we even question that, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's check the rule book and make sure. And
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and if you go without playing this game for a while, maybe you'll forget that those get used. So, but I just think that could have been a little bit more clear. It's in the rule book, so if you're reading setup, it'll tell you.
And
but
when-
2+ wouldn't hurt on there.
Every other icon on the board is so good. And
Right.
It's so self-explanatory. That is tricky
Right.
because yeah, I mean, when we were talking about it and you're like, oh yeah, that's for a 2-player game because it's just 2 and a person.
Right. So you think, just for 2 players. It's like, no, they're still included.
And there's
It
a
says to shuffle the remaining
A lot
ones
of
together.
games where, like on the board, it'll say 3+, or
Right.
cards will say 4+. I think the plus could have clarified things there.
I think that would help a lot because I'm going to tell you, if you run out of those Fados because you only play with half of them, you're not going to have a great time. Because that would really kill this spot very quickly.
Yes.
Yeah, because once they'll be all gone and there'll be no point going back there.
Right. Oh, and another thing we didn't even mention is the different musicians that you hire. When you hire them, they're going to give you a musical note.
Yeah,
right?
they all have a note on there, so you're going
Which
to gain
is-
one by default for hiring them. And you
Which
can only
is
have one of
another-
each type in there, too.
Yeah, which is another cool thing. And there's only 6 of each kind of musician,
Yeah.
right? So these guys are all going to get.
It could be here one night. It could be over here one night.
And when they're up there, now they're an upgraded version. Now
Right,
the only
because the
bad
die
thing
stays on them.
The only bad thing is
They're more expensive.
they're more expensive, and if you
Yeah.
don't have enough money because you didn't plan your engine very well, it kind of sucks to get punished in a lighter game for that. I get it when you're like playing a heavier game,
Right.
It's like, well, get good,
Right.
But in a lighter game, you kind of want to have a little more flexibility and mobility. But anyways. We should rate this.
We should.
Bob.
Yes, it's me.
How do we rate games at the Board Game Rundown?
Here at the Board Game Rundown, we score games from 0 to 10. We do use 0.5s for a little bit of variability. And then we're going to take all of our scores, we're going to average them together, and that'll be the score that you see on BGG or Discord or wherever you might see or ask what the Board Game Rundown gave a certain game.
Mike.
Yep.
House of Fado.
I enjoy the game, and like I said, I think timing when to close that restaurant is still my favorite part of this, and I like the aesthetic and the theme. I do appreciate that Eagle-Gryphon made a Lacerda game that plays in about an hour and is kind of a gateway plus.
Yeah.
It's squarely medium, not so heavy that you couldn't teach this to casual gamers. So I definitely appreciate that. And I like the art on this game quite a bit. I'd play it more. I do wonder if it would start to feel a little samey after a little while, even though we don't get to replay a ton of games. That is a factor in my scores because that's what makes a game great.
Right.
I don't know that it's a game that I'd want to re-rack and play again a second time. So that's preventing me from scoring it higher. I fall at a 7.
All right.
Bob.
I enjoy what I was doing. I'm glad I have this game in my collection. I would request to play this game again, just to be able to try out the different strategies and whatnot. I appreciate the well done insert, the small box footprint that it takes up. So I'm going to fall on an 8.
Yeah, I would definitely give this another play. I do have a concern about winning strat and that there just being one winning strat. And then the other concern I would have would be playing with people with too much AP. I think you could get locked up a little bit on some of the choices.
Okay.
We did not have that problem with the group we were playing with.
Sure.
But playing it out in the wild, with some other players, I might be like, oh, come
it.
on, this game shouldn't take that long. Because by the end of the game, I was feeling a little impatient, a little antsy. So positive. Game looks great. The choices are really interesting. Negatives, it's real tight with money, especially at the beginning. And if it's still tight towards the end, it may not feel great. And then the other thing would just be, I don't feel like I need to own this game, but I don't not want to play it again.
Sure.
I'd definitely play it again. So it's a 7 for me.
Okay. That's going to bring us down to a 7.33333.
Repeating.
3333.
Repeating.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good score.
Pretty good score.
Yeah, I definitely give this another crack, because it, like any game, right? Depending on the day you play it, where it hits, you play it again. The group. Now we had a pretty optimal group. I feel like we had a really good group for when we played this. But yeah, I look forward to trying this at least one more time and just to see how some of that other stuff shakes out.
Sure.
Definitely.
Anything else?
Nope, don't think so.
Nope.
All right. Well, for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
Bob.
Mike.
It's closing time.